What to expect during the discovery call. Years ago, when I was the only one answering the phone for that very first contact with the homeowner, the conversation usually followed the same pattern. Someone would call me, tell me a little bit about their project, what they were thinking about, and we'd exchange some small talk, and then they'd say, "Can you come take a look?" I'd say yes, and we'd schedule a visit. I'd drive over, walk the home, take notes, and start working on a proposal. All before either of us really understood the bigger picture. That was the old way. It was reactive, and it set expectations I could never realistically meet. Homeowners often hoped for a price on the spot, and I'd have to explain that I needed time to put things in writing. Putting things in writing was my way of avoiding misunderstandings about scope, materials, and what was actually included. But preparing those written proposals took hours, and those hours didn't come from the workday. The workday was spent in the field using the tools and fixing somebody else's home. So I'd come home tired, eat dinner with the family, and open up my laptop to start estimating. The to-do list grew faster than I could clear it. What started as, "I'll get this to you in a couple of days," would then turn into a week or two or even longer. People were waiting. Time was passing and I felt it. The bids would pile up and so would the guilt. I knew homeowners wanted their projects to move and I wanted to help them, but I simply didn't have the capacity to produce complete, accurate proposals at the pace they expected. The longer it went on, the more overwhelmed I became. I wasn't meeting my own expectations or theirs. Every missed deadline made me feel like I was letting somebody down. It was an exhausting cycle of rushing, apologizing, catching up, falling behind again, and trying to operate a business in that way was never sustainable. Those experiences taught me that we need a better starting point. The purpose of the discovery call is to understand the story behind your project. I want to learn about your life, your routines, your frustrations, your goals, and the future that you're building toward. Homeowners reach out because something in their home isn't working right now. A cramped kitchen, a dated bathroom, a laundry room that makes no sense. But the real clarity comes from understanding not just what's wrong today, but what needs to be right tomorrow. So I ask questions that you may not expect. I might ask how long you've lived in your home. That helps me understand how these pain points have been affecting you, whether they're new frustrations or long-term issues you've become used to. Then maybe I'll ask how long you plan to stay, because if it's 2 years or 12 years, that could lead to different strategies. Someone planning to age in place needs a different kind of a layout for accessibility planning and long-term thinking than someone planning to sell sooner. I'll ask who lives in the home. Not names, but dynamics. Are they kids, teens, parents, pets, guests? All these change the function, flow, and durability a space needs. I might ask what phase of life you're in, because life transitions often drive renovation decisions more than anything else. An empty nester isn't designing a kitchen the same way that a young family is. Someone caring for aging parents has different priorities than someone preparing for a new baby. Your home has to support your life stage. I want you to be thinking about the future. What life events do you expect in the next 5 to 10 years? Maybe your kids will be grown and out of the house soon. Maybe you want space for grandkids. Maybe you'll be retiring. Maybe you're planning to work from home more. Maybe you want to future-proof the home in case mobility needs change. We're not just designing for who you are right now, we're designing for the person you will become. These questions aren't a filter, they're a foundation. They pull you out of the narrow view of fixing a room into a bigger picture of building a home that supports your life today and tomorrow. During the discovery call, I'm listening closely for patterns, for priorities, and for pain points. I want to understand what frustrates you, what matters to you, and what you've tried already, and what's driving the desire to make a change. I may ask follow-up questions and follow up to the follow-ups to the follow-ups, because clarity lives in all of those layers. We'll talk about the budget to understand where your expectations are. It's important to know if your vision and your investment match. I may ask if you thought about what you want to invest. Where did that number come from? And what does that number include in your mind? These questions are meant to help me understand how you're thinking about the project. We've done hundreds of projects, so we have a sense of what different scopes of work typically cost. There are always choices: what we include, what we exclude. What level of finish do you want? And each of those decisions affects the budget. If you're imagining a $75,000 bathroom, but planning to invest closer to $35,000, that's something we want to understand early so we don't spend time designing something that will never fit. Establishing these guidelines up front helps steer the direction of the entire conversation. It gives us a framework, and it allows me to guide you when we start discussing scope that might cause the budget to jump significantly. As we approach the end of the call, something important usually becomes clear. Either we both feel aligned to a general vision, timeline, and budget, and communication style, or we recognize that this isn't the right fit. If we're not the right fit, you'll know that before you invest time, money, or emotional energy into a project that wasn't really going to work. If we are a fit, the next step is to schedule the in-home consultation. This is a paid visit. The consultation is where I finally step into your space. I see what's outside the frame of the photos that you sent us, and I get a true sense of how your home is built. In the next video, I'll walk you through exactly what happens during that visit and how it sets the foundation for your design and planning agreement.